our judicial system, our rule of law system, not just the judiciary, but all branches of government, or especially our federal government. It's not about finding or seeking the truth. It's about getting convictions. So whether you're guilty or not, you're guilty. And they're going to come after you. And they're going to do it because they can. They tried to put me under the ground, right? They literally tried to kill Mike Flynn. And that's for real. I mean, this is the persecution that I experienced. Michael Thomas Flynn, I'm a retired Lieutenant General from the United States Army. I spent almost 34 years in the military. And one of the things that I discovered was this amazing formation of a team of people that only wanted to get to the truth. When we looked at it, it wasn't about, okay, these are all people who are pro-Trump or whatever. In fact, in many cases, they weren't. They saw what I saw. They saw what millions and millions of people, not only in our country, but around the world, saw on the night of the 3rd. They came to us, we formed this amazing team, and we started to work at discovering what we believed we needed to discover. And our mission was, in this case, to try to find the truth and discover what happened during this crazy election that we had. So one of the people that came into my life, and I had previously known through an old friend who's now deceased, was Patrick Byrne. His insights were interesting because one of the things that we felt prior, we both felt, and some of us talked about it in sort of more intimate discussions, was we felt like we had spies in our camp. They were trying to discover what our strategy was going to be and then share that with whoever, right? Whoever they're going to share it with, whether it's members of the federal government, the deep state, right? Maybe, or members of the opposing camps. But we know, we felt, and it was proven out, that we had people that were not being totally honest with us. And so we had a couple of conversations. We began to see what was forming or not forming and what was needed. And it ended up being not this giant group of people. It was really a small team of real true subject matter experts who had the same idea in mind: get to the truth of this thing. I learned that our system was totally broken, okay? That our executive branch, our legislative branch, the judiciary doesn't function the way that people want it to function. And the founders realized, they knew that there was going to be tyranny setting in to the very lifeblood or the DNA of the federal government. And it has. As I look at this and I say to people in this country, we have to wake up in this country, because if you don't recognize that the person running a precinct is as powerful as the President of the United States on voting day. Why? Because that person running the precinct, guess what they're responsible to do? Count those ballots. I could have cared less. If Trump won, fine. If Trump lost, fine. But I want to know what the truth is. This is not fake news. This is reality. We cannot fake the American people out and lie to the American people about what the reality is. And the reality is they were lied to. That this system is totally broken. The United States of America election system broke down.
What broke down? Giuliani, what broke down from his decision points from your perspective?
Yeah. I think that the president, from the very beginning, was never presented what I call clear paths to victory. For me, and for a couple of us, we were able to identify those early on. And that's where you prioritize your efforts. Because you can't go and say, well, it's a big problem. Where do you focus? It eventually came to that, where the focus became the states, the swing states, and then it became these counties in the swing states, and then it became down to the level of counting votes or not counting votes, or what are we going to do, and all the fighting for the truth. But the president, he was not clearly presented what I say are clear, what I call clear paths to victory. And if he was, he didn't pay attention. Had he personally had he known those, gotten involved in those, and focused on those with his team, we'd have a different outcome today. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. Going forward, one of the key things that needs to happen is people need to get involved in the election process and the election system. And it may not just be running for office. It may be being a volunteer observer, and you watch the process. Because I'm going to tell you, the next time that we have an election like this, that's what people are going to want to do. They're going to go, are we using the same systems? Are we using the same ballots? Is the system still broken? Well, how can I fix it? Get involved. Be one of those volunteer observers. That may be the most important thing that you do on a given day in your entire life.
So one of the things I liked about Flynn so much when I met him, he may be the only guy I've met in a long time who we quote Federalist Papers to each other. We studied all the previous attempts at democracy, both ancient and modern, and in my words, we figured out what made democracies fail and republics fail, and we designed this Constitution around those failure points. There was one failure we didn't figure out how to design to beat, and unfortunately, that's the one that brings down republics more than anything else in history, and that is the problem of what he called factionalism. But we would really probably think of it today as special interestism. Special interestism, which leads to captureism, because the special interests capture the government and turn it to their own private ends. This is a revolution by the elites against the people. But I think what's happening is the elites looted the country for 2 decades or more in certain ways, and the bill has come due, and they're trying to hand us off. They're paying the bill by turning us over to China. I think that's kind of what's happening, but I know that gets speculative. I'll stay away from that. You know, listen, when you're on the side that says the other side doesn't get to have the side, you're on the fascist side. And so what they're trying to do is engineer things, and we have to be smarter. If you've ever dealt with a goon, by which I mean a cop who is swollen with authority, or if you're at a nightclub and some bouncer is swollen with authority, imagine that becoming your government, that becoming the kind of people who excel in society, because goons have to select other goons. That's what it's like in authoritarian governments. Humans are noble savages, and it is civilization which corrupts us, civilization which taints us, and puts us in chains. There's another view of human nature that some philosophers have that is best expressed by Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, which was, if you've seen the movie Apocalypse Now, it's the same idea. And that's, in the book, it's a Mr. Kurtz. In the movie, it's Colonel Kurtz, the Marlon Brando character, who's removed from the constraints of civilization and sees what's at the heart of man, and discovers, basically, you know, he dies muttering the horror in both the book and the movie for a reason. And if that's your basic worldview, it's civilization which keeps us, it's the rules of civilization which keep us, that constrain that. There are ways to fix all this, but you got to restructure things. And now they're trying to pour cement over it all. They want us to go violent so they can harness and they already are trying to harness the power of the CIA, the FBI, the DHS, and to try to oppress half the country. So this is a goon takeover of the United States. As far as I'm concerned, they're the extremists. We're not the extremists. They're the extremists. They're the ones who are burning the Constitution.